Fine dreams of her past and the death of her friend Arya, with who she was searching for paradise. On a mission to annihilate vampires, humans enter a building. A vampire shows up, wondering why they won't leave them alone, and attacks the humans. He manages to defeat a few and bites one, before being killed by them. The one that was bitten starts to turn and they finish him off as well. The humans split in teams to search the building and Momo proceeds with her friend, Morena. Momo hears a noise from a room and upon checking it, she discovers a child vampire, who while afraid offers her a music box. As others may hear it, she knocks the box down, but another vampire attacks her. Her friends comes and kills the vampire. Seeing the vampire die, the child vampire grieves and uses a drug to transforms itself, and then attacks Momo. She is hesitating to kill the vampire, but a man shows up and kills it. The man is angry that she hesitated, explaining that they stood little chance once the drug takes full effect. As others report the area is clear, he tells them to begin heading back and then breaks the music box to stop it from playing. One winter, long time ago, the vampires appeared and quickly multiplied. With their near immortal strength, humankind was no match and lost most of its land. The remains gathered in a small town and built a wall of light. In fear of alerting their keen sense, music and any other semblance of culture became forbidden. Back in town, Momo and Morena are working on the line. Morena reveals she took the music box and gives it to Momo, wanting she to repair it, so Morena can listen to it. Momo is informed that the commander of chief wants to see it. Reporting to her, her mother, Nobra, the commander, tells Momo that is being reassigned to work in the chief executive office. Momo is fine remaining at her position, but her mother states that she only assigned her a low-ranking labor first due to cadet receiving an admin role would be met with disapproval. Nobra notes that she heard Momo hesitated to shoot a vampire and Momo tries to explain it was a child. However, her mother tells her that puts in danger her comrades. The city is in the verge of destruction. The human lifespan shortens as their resources become limited. If they don't kill the vampires will kill them. Elsewhere, the vampires are having a ball party. Fine dances with a girl, which annoys some of the vampires. After dancing, Fine goes for a fresh air. Allegro tells her that he heard the humans are planning a mass invasion soon. Because of that, they are gathering forces and planning a counterattack, and wishes Fine to fight with them. However, Fine isn't interested and states that nothing will remain if he destroys all that is beautiful in this world. Allegro guesses that Fine still isn't drinking blood. As Fine is being called back to the ball, Allegro leaves some bottles with blood, saying that he wants she to be her real self and leaves. The next day, at the human briefing, they reveal that have found a vampire lair in the northern mountains. The deputy commander thinks they are rushing and don't think they will succeed. Nobra shows the drug that the vampire uses. She explains it boosts their physical abilities at the exchange of their lives. Nearly 100 of them had already sacrificed their lives like this, which shows they are desperate enough to use such extreme tactics. Nobra suggests they invade the nest and settle the war once and for all. After the meeting, the deputy commander says he heard that Nobra promoted her daughter to an admin role and that she graduated the military training with flying colors. Nobra tells him there is no need for flattery and that she heard he is working on a new weapon to neutralize the vampires. She admires his efforts, but since this is her job, he should stay in line and follow her lead. After work, Momo spends some time with Morena and tells her that she fixed the music box and will bring it out tomorrow for them to listen it together. The vampires gather near the human city. Fine decides to join Allegro, saying she is looking for a place to die. The human starts the attack on the vampire lair. Meanwhile, Nobra finds out that Momo is listening to a music box and gets angry and slaps her.
Stop that! Mom, what are you...
Momo grabs the box and runs away. At the same time, the humans run into a deadly trap. Allegro then leads the vampires into attacking the city. Momo contacts Morena, saying she wants to leave the city, but Morena tells her there is no other place they can live and wants Momo to stay with her. As the attack is going, the vampires use bombs to destroy the lights. Nobra takes command and manages to stop the vampire advancement. A vampire asks to be spared, but the humans refuse as she had killed their comrades. Fine attacks them, trying to save the vampire, but fails and gets injured. In his last moments, the human drops a grenade. Fine manages to throw it away, but still gets knocked down. As she gets up, Fine prepares to use the drug, but hears Momo humming and listening to the music box. Fine silently approaches and hears Momo crying and having enough of this world, wanting to go somewhere where she will be alone. Momo notices Fine and tells her to stay away, but Fine approaches her asking her to sing the song again. Morena shows up and shoots Fine, allowing Momo to escape. Other men and vampires appear and Momo runs towards Morena. A dying vampire uses the drug and transforms. He attacks Morena. Fine attempts to protect her, but the vampire still manages to inflict a deadly wound attack on Morena. In her final moments, Morena apologizes to Momo, saying she won't be able to listen to the music box. As she dies, Momo grabs a gun and starts shooting at the transformed vampire. Fine tells her to stop as she won't be able to kill it, but Momo refuses to stop. Fine grabs Momo and saves her from the vampire and flies away. However, weakened, she falls. The vampire follows them, but Nobra and other humans manage to pin him with a light. Nobra sees her daughter is there, and if they shoot they may kill her as well, but as her priority is to kill the vampire, she orders her men to shoot if the vampire moves. Fine tells Momo to come with her and that she hurt her, she wants to leave this place. She tells her that the war won't end and eventually all will become monsters. Hesitating for a moment, Momo decides to go with her. In that moment, the lights go off as a human traitor wanting to become a vampire cuts the power. With the power off, Allegro and his vampires proceed towards the tower. Fine takes Momo and runs with a car while Nobra's men shoot at them. The transformed vampire chases the car, but gets hit by a missile and then beheaded by Kubo. As the humans regain some of the power, Allegro and the vampires are forced to retreat. Nobra contacts her brother, Kubo, who promises to bring back Momo, although is a bit annoyed by the soldiers she sent. Nobra explains she sent them due to pressure from the deputy commander, and while they are on the pretext to test their new weapon, in reality they are trying to find some dirt on her. Kubo speaks with team, but they explain they won't be able to continue tracking Momo on wheels. Kubo then wants to go to the neighboring town to see if they can get some help. Fine had taken Momo to her secluded villa. She offers her food, but Momo doesn't trust Fine and thinks she is just trying to fatten her to eat her. Fine wonders why Momo was singing, but Momo can't explain it. Fine then sits on the piano and plays a song, which Momo recognizes it's the one she was singing. Fine wants to dance with Momo, but Momo refuses, angry for what happened to Morena. Fine tells her she can take the music box and leave if she wants, but having nowhere else to go, Momo remains there. She finds a picture in the music box, on the back of which is mentioned Paradise, a place where humans and vampire can create music together. In the vampire city, the elders tell Allegro that he must find and get back Queen Fine as she is needed to continue the bloodline and this is his last chance to redeem himself. Momo wakes up at night and explores the villa. She finds a room with a projector, where she sees a girl running and Fine playing a music instrument. She feels someone is watching and chasing her and starts running, but eventually loses consciousness. She wakes up in a bathtub and Fine explains she probably had fever and feels something is tormenting her. Fine turns on a vinyl player and states she wanted Momo to hear this song, which is sang by a human, who sings about the people she lost and to ease the pain of being left behind. Fine again wonders why Momo was singing, but leaves her to listen to the song. Kubo speaks with some vampires, who tell him Fine is likely in a villa in the mountains. As thanks, his men give blood to the vampires, which makes one of the soldiers wondering why he is feeding them. Kubo explains they can't manage their carvings for blood and it's better to appeal to their needs and gain cooperation than they lose their judgment and start hunting humans. Momo finds Fine in her garden, surprised that she is interested in gardening. As Fine feels weak, she asks Momo to finish her gardening job for today. Learning that Fine lives alone, Momo suggests she should look for her friends, but Fine feels better alone as that way no one could get hurt around her. Momo thanks her for trying to protect Morena. Momo wants to sing the song on the vinyl for Morena and asks Fine for help. Fine then plays the piano, while Momo sings. At the same time, Kubo and his group are getting close to the villa. He tells the soldiers to not use their weapon until he says, but they intend to use it right away. Similarly, Allegro and his vampires are also getting close and notices the humans. While Momo sings, an arrow goes through the window and hits Fine in the neck. Kubo and his group then enter and capture Momo. However, Momo doesn't remember Kubo. Vampires come from the window and Kubo's group manages to kill them. Momo manages to escape and Fine gets up and grabs Kubo. While his men go after her, Kubo remains to fight with Fine. Allegro captures Momo, wanting to know where Fine is, but seeing Momo he gets reminded of someone and decides to kill her, but Kubo's men save her. Outside, the soldiers are using their new armored mech suits to fight the vampires. Allegro finds Fine and tells her that the elders want to speak with her, but she refuses to get back. Momo is hanging on the chandelier. One of the soldiers blows part of the roof, causing the chandelier to start falling with Momo, but Fine jumps and saves her from the fall. She leaves Momo in a shed and gives her music box, and then returns fighting Kubo. As the fight, Momo hits Kubo with a car. Fine gets in the car and they try running away, but with the main path blocked, Fine tells Momo to drive off the cliff. Momo does it and they manage to survive going down the cliff and escape. Momo wonders if there are people after Fine and she confirms, saying that there are some who wish to rob her of her freedom, but she won't be returning to them. With the villa gone and not having else to go, Momo suggests they go to the paradise mentioned on the picture, but Fine states that paradise doesn't exist. Momo thinks that Fine believes it does since she kept the picture and suggests they try to find it together. Getting reminded of Arya, Fine agrees. Fine and Momo start traveling. Fine plays a song from a cassette and asks Momo to sing with it. Momo doesn't know the lyrics, but Fine tells her to just sing what comes from within. The two then continue their journey visiting various places and having fun. At the human town, the deputy commander states that Nobra's daughter had aligned herself with the vampires and is currently running away with a vampire. He provides pictures of proof and wants Nobra to take responsibility for Momo's treacherous actions. Fine and Momo reach a vampire checkpoint. Fine explains she wished to enter the town so she can repair their car, and the human, Momo, is her blood bag. She needs to pay 5,000 in bottle of blood per person. As she pays the entry fee, they tell her that under no circumstances the human can enter the island, and after she drains the human, she can throw it out onto the human's island. As they approach the town, Momo guesses that humans and vampires doesn't live happily here. Fine confirms, and explains that the humans control the right side, while the vampires the left side of the town and are separated by a canal. The humans supply blood, while the vampires money, and they live by bartering with each other. Fine takes them to a hotel she knows and tells Momo to not leave the room. Seeing Momo, the hotel owner vampire tells her that she can't have a human there, since they are a bit short on blood and that could cause a fight. Fine pays him 4 bottles of blood and he decides to close his eyes. After taking her to their room, Fine asks Momo if she wants to play on a piano and starts teaching her. Kaede asks Kubo why he thinks Momo is with a vampire and he explains she is misled, thinking that there is a paradise out there, where humans and vampires live happily together. At night, Fine dreams of Arya and drops her glass. Momo wakes up and wonders what is going on. Fine starts carving for blood and almost loses her sense and attacks Momo, but manages to hold herself before biting her. Momo guesses she needs blood, but as there are no more bottles with blood on Fine's back, she cuts her arm and tried feeding her, but Fine refuses, stating that she no longer drinks blood. As she barely holds her bloodlust, Fine tells Momo to get back to her mother and throws her out of the room. Momo goes outside and recognizes a mark as military facility on the human side, guessing they must have blood banks. Some vampires notice her, but she manages to escape them. She approaches the military facility, but they notice her. Momo explains she needs blood for her friend, but they chase her away. Momo doesn't give up and manages to sneak in. She finds the blood bank and takes some, but is found out and starts running. They start shooting at Momo and eventually cause an explosion, which Allegro notices and finds Momo running. Meanwhile, the vampires who found Momo saw she came out of the hotel and decide to check if there are more humans in it. As they force their way in, they take all the blood the owner had stored, who ends up telling them that the vampire who took the human is on the last door on the 3rd floor. The vampires then decide to go punish the traitor and push away the owner, who as he falls knocks out some candles and starts a fire. Allegro captures Momo and asks her where Fine is. As she refuses, Allegro explains that there was once a human who got close to Fine and manipulated her feelings. However, the human betrayed Fine and it took Fine a long time to heal from the betrayal. Momo refuses to say where Fine is as she promised her to teach her to play piano. She manages to free herself from Allegro and causes them to fall from a building. As she gets up, she takes the blood and runs towards Fine. Meanwhile, the vampires are searching the hotel. Unable to find more blood in Fine's room, they end up throwing the music box in the fire and leave. As the hotel burns, Fine lies weakened on the ground. Momo returns and takes Fine to their car. The hotel owner blames Momo and Fine for everything he lost, telling them they can't run as there is no place for them to go. Leaving the town, Momo finds a small house in the woods and there transfuses some blood to Fine. When Fine wakes up, Momo tells her to not give up so easily and wonders why she took her with her if she is giving up so easily. As Momo cries, she says she knows there is no place for her to go. Fine hugs her and apologizes. The next day, the two find a boat and continue their journey on the river and then the sea. Sometimes they reach frozen water and they have to pull the boat. One day, while pulling the boat and Fine sleeping in it, Momo collapses. She wakes up in a cabin and sees a girl in the music box picture as a large painting on the wall. Wondering where she is, the girl tells her this must be the paradise they were searching for. Momo wakes up in a bed and a young vampire introduces herself as Elisha, telling her she won't suck her blood. Momo asks about Fine, and Elisha tells her she will take her to her later. She gives Momo food and explains they found them by chance. Elisha takes Momo around the village, where humans and vampires live peacefully. Elisha takes Momo to Fine, who is right now in an old frozen submarine which was turned into housing. Meeting with Fine, Momo tells her they found the paradise they were looking. A section opens and a vampire comes out, asking to be let out as he couldn't take any more of his blood being drained. He is then pushed back and locked into the section again. Elisha explains that's a vampire they took in recently, but he suffers from blood disease. When Momo and Fine remain alone, Fine shares that she finds the place strange. Kubo's group had reached the town that Fine and Momo stopped by. They speak with the hotel owner, who gives them the picture from the music box, but doesn't know the place. The soldier with them recognizes it as Volskaya, a village in the permafrost region. He had seen the place in their research material and explains that a submarine washed up there, causing massive environmental contamination, causing the villages to perish. Fine gives Momo a blade, but Momo doesn't want to take it. Later, Elisha officially welcomes Momo and Fine to the village, saying that while humans and vampires are still at war, they have created art and music that guide people to their village. The villagers then start celebrating, drinking and dancing. Elisha invites and teaches Momo how to dance. Later outside, Momo thanks Fine for helping her get here as she feels she can be free here and is happy that there are that many people who loves music and dancing. Fine tries to tell her something, but Elisha calls her back and Momo leaves. Allegro, who had eavesdropped on Kubo's group, shows up and comments that Fine had traveled quite far. He gets reminded how he and Fine used to sneak out of town when they were young. He asks Fine to come back home with him, saying that Momo is fine here on herself. Fine recalls how she also bite her and believes she may get in the way of Momo's happiness. Nobra had joined Kubo, who believes it's because Nobra wants to keep her status and if Momo died, the ones at Central won't bother her. Nobra states that there is no use to traitors and if you disobey, you will have to deal with the consequences. The group then departs, crossing the frozen lake and heading towards the village. The next morning, Momo finds Fine's blade and a note from her, telling her to use it if she needs. Momo realizes Fine left and Elisha tells her they will find her. She tells Momo to stay behind as parts of the lake is melting and it's dangerous. She locks Momo in her room, while the villagers head out searching for Fine. Fine is getting more weak and Allegro leaves her to get some help. Nobra shares that the village is unlikely to be a paradise and warns Kubo to not fall for it, but recalling how his vampire wife turned on him, he states he isn't a young fool anymore and is sure it's not paradise. Momo finds a hole in the wall and manages to go through it, but Hasumi notices her and go after her. Momo finds a sled with an engine, but Elisha shoots and blows it up. Momo survives, but is forced to run in the submarine. Elisha and other men follow her there. As she is being cornered, a voice tells her to enter the small duct and she manages to lose her chasers. Following the voice, she finds the vampire with the blood disease and frees him. He explains that they pump him with blood and somehow use his regenerative abilities to generate electricity. He used the pictures of the place to find this village and states that they use the pictures to lure people here and then use vampires like they used him. At the same time, Fine is found out by the villagers. The vampire is then shot by Elisha, who explains that by sacrificing few, everyone else can live peacefully. Momo manages to run and Elisha chases her, while explaining that she still can join them and be forgiven. Outside, Kubo's group makes contact with the villagers. They explain they are looking for Momo, but the village elder says there is no one with that name in the village. Kubo doesn't believe it, causing the villagers to call for backup and vampires arrive to attack Kubo's group. As the fight occurs, the soldiers use their mechs and end up damaging the submarine, causing it to start taking in water. Elisha manages to capture Momo, but she stabs her with Fine's blade. Momo then takes Elisha's weapon and run, while Elisha continues to chase her. Kubo corners the elder, who reveals that Momo escaped and is in the submarine. Elisha again captures Momo, but Momo shoots her, making her fall along a torpedo and die in an explosion. Fine dreams of her past with Arya and Momo. She wakes up and goes to look for Momo, and dives into the water. She finds Momo in a fully submerged section of the submarine and saves her. Momo thanks her, saying that the blade she gave her came in use. Seeing that Allegro returns with more vampires, Fine takes Momo and flies away, while being chased by both vampires and humans. The chase continues to an old abandoned town, where Fine and Momo manages to escape for a moment, using the buildings. In a moment of peace, Momo tells Fine to not push herself as she doesn't want to see her hurt. Kaede the snipes Fine, causing her to fall from a height. Down, they hit Fine with few more bullets. Momo comes to protect her, but Kubo's men capture her. Fine still manages to get up and retakes Momo and they hide into a building. Reaching a dead end, Fine puts Momo into a hole and tells her to follow the water and she will meet her outside. Fine tries to block the hole, but Momo refuses to go. Fine promises she will join her and they will create a paradise just for them. Momo notices that Fine's bleeding doesn't stop.
You're still bleeding. It should have stopped by now.
But Kubo's men arrive and Fine pushes Momo and blocks the hole. As Kaede and the rest shoot at Fine, having no other options, she uses the drug. Momo follows the path and finds a way out. Allegro finds her and asks about Fine, but gets angry learning that she used the drug. The soldier from Kubo's group then captures Momo and steps on Allegro with his mech, excited to take Momo back and get promotions. Allegro tilts the mech, but gets shot. He still knocks out the soldier and frees Momo. As he bleeds out, he regrets for not killing her when he got the chance, but now tells her to find and save Fine. As Momo runs, Allegro apologizes to Fine for not being strong enough to protect her. Transformed Fine manages to defeat Kubo's men. She then faces Kubo, who is excited to see her in her true form. As they fight, he manages to cut her and then stab her in the back. He prepares to finish her, but Momo interrupts him and goes to Fine. Kubo warns her that she no longer can recognize her and Fine attacks Momo, biting her 2 times. Kubo saves her and pins Fine to the wall, but Momo still tries to fight him. Kubo pins Momo to the ground and tells her that the paradise she is searching for doesn't exist anywhere. Fine recalls Arya saying the same thing, but Momo tells him to not tell her what is possible and what not, as he doesn't know anything about them. She stabs him with a glass on the leg and continues fighting him. Kubo states they have only spent a few days together. He points a gun at Momo and tells her he won't kill her if she comes back to Central. However, Momo refuses, wanting to live with Fine. Fine then frees herself and attacks Kubo, pinning him to the ground. He is ready to die, telling Fine to kill him and prove that vampires are just monsters, but Momo stops Fine and she releases him. Kubo takes his gun back and tries to shoot Momo, but Fine pushes her and gets shot in the shoulder. Momo and Fine then walk away, making Kubo recall his wedding day and how he had to kill his vampire wife. Momo gets on Fine's back and she flies away. They reach a hill, where Fine enters a cave. There Fine starts to disintegrate and returns mostly to her humanoid form. As Fine is in bad shape, Momo offers her blood, but Fine explains that at this point there is nothing that can be done for her. As the area is full of moon azaleas, Fine gets nostalgic and shares that she used to love a person. She tells her about Arya, who didn't resent her for being a vampire. She showed her the picture of humans and vampires living together and taught her how to make music and dance. However, their love was forbidden and humans and vampires came for them. Eventually they killed Arya and from that day, Fine lived like if she was already dead. When she found Momo, she considered her a replacement as both have same looks and voice. However, Momo was fierce and is far stronger than she thinks. Fine asks Momo to sing for her and live in Momo's happy memories. A moment later, Fine dies and Momo starts crying. Momo carries Fine's body. Nobra finds them and states she brought all of this upon Momo. Momo says it's just like she told her and she doesn't know anything about the world. Momo continues to walk, making Nobra angry and pointing her gun at Momo saying she will not allow her to escape. Momo thanks her for everything, but wants they to live their own lives. Momo continues, ignoring Nobra, who decides not to shoot her. Momo buries Fine and sings at her grave. Years later, Momo has a family and is living peacefully with other humans and vampires.